And y'all know what it is, man. This is that boy, man. I was gonna say Bread Tuck, man. My name is Christopher Robinson, man. Welcome to the Inspired by Christopher podcast. The Inspired by Christopher podcast, man. Check me out on my website, www.inspiredbychristopher.com. Man, you can catch my podcast there. And check this out, man. Before we get into the heat, man, check this out. Wait a minute. Let me take a sip. Let me take a sip. I'm still here. Check this out, man. Before we get into the heat, I know last week I did my first episode. This is my second episode. I'm probably going to do about one more episode that's going to be available on the free feeds like, Spotify, iTunes. We're coming soon to iTunes. What is it? Alexa. What is the other one? Amazon Music. Okay, but then after this next week pod, I'm gonna start putting clips on there so that you can catch the full pod on my Patreon, man. Because this is a business, man. I'm moving like it's a business, and I'm only asking for $3 a month, man. I think I create incredible content, and man, I'm gonna put that value out there for $3. And like I said on my first episode, I'm actually undervaluing myself, which is wild, but I'm here to talk about, and what I just said kind of it's kind of going to relate with what we're talking about today. Last week, so I guess the title of this episode is going to be somewhat called Black People Working in the Workplaces That They Don't Own. You know, the title's gonna be a lot cooler than that, but or it's gonna sound a little better than that. But I want to say, man, maybe 2 weeks ago, man, we saw. Now I don't keep up with Meghan Markle or the Prince of England or whatnot, man, but supposedly the family doesn't like the fact that the prince is married to a black woman and they don't want the children to be dark or something like that. I don't know. I don't keep up with this stuff. They're not in I'm more concerned about what's going on in America. But check this out, man. On The View or the Star or what is it called? The Talk. Sharon Osbourne is friends with Piers Morgan. And as you know, Piers Morgan made some comments about Meghan Markle. And I don't know whether he quit his show or had to leave or whatever. But I came across some audio that was very disturbing to me. I saw that Sheryl Underwood, she's a black co-host of that show. She was talking to Sharon Osbourne about this. And Sharon Osbourne is friends with Piers Morgan. And to my understanding, Sheryl Underwood was telling Osbourne that, hey, man, what he was doing is racist and there were some racist undertones. And, man, I tell you what, man, Sharon Osbourne just flipped. Oh, how dare you? Oh, and she just help me understand. Don't you cry. Just man, she was just going off. And I'm like, my God, man. Where's Monique at a time like this? Because Monique would have squared Sharon Osbourne up real quick. She'd have got her mind. Sometimes you need a sister to get your mind right. Sisters specialize in getting folk minds right. But check this out, man. Sheryl Underwood was in this unique place that a lot of black people find themselves in the workplace that is not owned by us. She kind of just had to sit there, take it, be cool, because she didn't want to be seen as the angry black woman. And, she started to cry because I guess she was getting upset or whatever. And Sheryl Osbourne was, don't cry. I should be the one crying. Help me understand. And it was just like, man, if the tables were turned, I don't think that Sheryl Underwood would be able to get away with that. But as a black woman working in this place that she doesn't own, she had to kind of deal with it. So this past week, and I was kind of paying attention to that. This past week, we find out that Sharon Osbourne, and that show, The Talk, they're making a split from each other. Now, according to the article I read, it looks like Sharon Osbourne is the one who decided to go or something like that. I think the talk had her take a break for a second. I don't know. But either way, the article said that she's going to leave with a very nice settlement. You know, they're gonna tighten her up on her way out, and that's the frustrating part. Okay, I think I saw that she would be getting between 5 to 10 million. Some people say it's true. Some people say it's not. But this is the frustrating part about that, man. What's probably going to end up happening is, of course, she's going to leave the show. She's going to get some big money. And she'll probably go on another show or start another show that's owned by that same company. And if it's not owned by that same company, somebody's going to pick her up because she's Sheryl Osborne. And I mean, this system of white supremacy is designed to, you know, look out for white people, no matter the circumstances. And let me go back to a Hulk Hogan situation, man. I like wrestling. Back when I was younger, man, Hulk Hogan was the hero. He was, man, everybody loved Hulk Hogan, man. I want to say 2014, 15, somewhere in there, he released some audio where he was talking to his daughter or somebody, and he was using the N-word, man, because he didn't, whatever the, you know, I don't know if his daughter was dating a black woman, a black man or something. I might be jacking up the story. I should have researched this being a podcaster, went back and looked over it, but y'all could Google it. But Hulk Hogan was using the N-word over and over again. And you know, me being a black man who liked Hulk Hogan back in the Gap, I was like, nah, this is unacceptable. I can't fool with Hulk Hogan anymore. So the WWE put him on a hiatus for like 3 years or something like that, 3-4 years. Then he came back. I tell you what, man, when he came back, I think I saw the episode when he came back, man. Those white people that were in the stands loved it. They loved him. They had their hero back, man. Hulk Hogan did no wrong in their eyes, you know. But then there were black wrestlers who worked there who were kind of uncomfortable with the situation. Some of them even spoke out and, you know, they just spoke out and it was like, you know, this is kind of unfortunate. But guess what? They had to deal with it. Those black people, if those black people want to continue working in that WWE establishment that isn't owned by them, they have to deal with the fact that Hulk Hogan was coming back, even though he was a racist. What you gonna do? Either deal with it or start your own. And we gonna get to that. Check this out, man. Same thing with Mel Gibson, man. If you remember Mel Gibson, he was in the Mad Max franchise. He was in the Lethal Weapon with Danny Glover and all that. So, you know, Mel Gibson was a big action hero, man. Now, I think his daughter was dealing with a black person or something, and he had a phone call where he was calling black folks N-words and all this. You know, he dealt with the backlash for a second, but then guess what? I saw him in Expendables 3, the Sylvester Stallone movie with, Wesley Snipes and Terry Crews and Jean-Claude Van Damme and all these action heroes, man. He was in that movie. Yeah. He gets a pass. He, got a little slap on the wrist and he's slapped on the wrist and he's back out there. Who else? Yeah, he was in that movie Daddy's Home Part 2 with Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg. And I liked Part 1, but I was like, man, I can't go to the movies and spend money to watch this racist, man. He was Hulk Hogan. I used to love Hulk Hogan, man. But the way he was talking on that phone call, I was like, man, me being a black man, me standing for what I stand for, I can't do this, man. And WrestleMania is coming up soon, and Hulk Hogan is going to be hosting it with the black man, one of the black wrestlers on there. And I wonder, did that black man have could he have said I don't want to sit next to Hulk Hogan? I want to know, how does he really feel? Does he have to just be forgiving and just move forward? knowing how Hulk Hogan really feels because he's expressed himself in that phone call. Let me take a sip, man. Mm-hmm. 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 I'm still here. I'm still here. Check this out, man. So you got Sheryl Osborne, who's probably gonna get a slap on the wrist after she gets paid crazy. You got Hulk Hogan, who's back on TV like nothing ever happened. You got Mel Gibson, who never left. Now let's shift our attention to Michael Vick. Michael Vick Michael Vick was the talk of the NFL when he played for the Atlanta Falcons, man. You had never seen a quarterback that fast. That brother had an arm on him. He get that thing downfield. He had like a dog fighting situation. Man went to prison for 2 years, right? He came out, ooh, white people turned against him. And he had to be superhuman to get back on the NFL, get back in the NFL. But even after he served his time, he went on a press tour of apologies and all that. Boy, I tell you what, man, white people still hated him. They hate him till this day. And he said sorry a million times for fighting dogs. Man, check this out, man. Now and when you look at it, man, white people go hunting, they shoot hogs and deer and all that, but fighting dogs, man, I tell you what. And then you look at it, man. Michael Vick had to, when Colin Kaepernick was going through his situation, I kind of remember Mike Vick low key cooning it out just a little bit. If Colin Kaepernick wants to be accepted, he needs to cut his hair and look more the part. And I'm like, Michael Vick, fam, you got to relax. But shout out to a sister. Let's circle back to some things. Because remember, sisters know how to square brothers away. Sisters know how to square people away. Like I said, Monique would if she was in Sheryl Underwood's position dealing with Sheryl Osborne. Michael Vick's wife got on him like, hey, hold on, baby. You can't be repping the family like that. You can't be repping the family like that, man. You can't be no sucker out here, man. Come on, man. Stud up. See, that's what sisters will get you to stud up. Sisters won't let you just, like some true sisters won't let you just get out here and just be playing yourself and just say nothing about it. Sisters will get you to stud up because you a man. Anywho, we are going to get back to that, man. Let me take a sip. I'm still here. But check this out, man. Black people have to get beat into submission working for these organizations that we don't own, working for these companies that we don't own. And oh my God, if we do wrong, oh man, we don't get the slaps on the wrist. We get embarrassed, we get humiliated, and we have to play ourselves and remove our dignity if we want to return to work. Man, check this out, man. I used to work for Harris County here in Houston. The department I worked in, it was like the engineering department, but I was in the field. It was land surveying. Look up land surveying, the most tedious, boring job ever. But it gave me I spent 4 or 5 years at that job. That gave me a front seat, high quality lesson on white supremacy. Man, I worked around a whole bunch of white people who cared about nothing but white people, right? They did not care about minorities, especially black people. And they wanted to play you any chance they got. And they didn't like when you bucked them or liked when you challenged their ideas. Check this out. I remember one instance. I was working on this particular crew. See, at Harris County, we were assigned to crews. And it was 4 people to a crew. Okay. And one of the people within the crew was like the man who drove the truck. He was a supervisor. My supervisor was out, and they wanted me to get the truck and take the crew all the way to like 30. I would have to drive 30 miles to go pick up the truck, and it was crazy to go pick up the truck and then go get the crew. I would have to drive 30 miles in my own car to do that. I said, excuse me, can I just ask a question? One of the members within the crew, he works closer to here. Instead of me having to drive 30 miles to get this truck, can the other crew member do it because he lives here? He would go get the truck and be in y'all gas and come get everybody. You know, they made it seem like it was okay. Yeah. Next thing I know, and this was supposed to happen for 7 days. Next thing I know, I was transferred. Because I challenged their idea. I wasn't being disrespectful. I was just saying, hey, man, that's far for me to drive in my own personal car. But I have a logical solution. There's somebody who lives closer to the truck. Can he go get the truck and get everybody? They transferred me. And that's when I learned that people who feel like they're better than you, they don't like when you have a mind of your own and you challenge their ideas. And that's what black people deal with in the workplace with these companies that are not owned by black people. You'll see, man, I have another listen, I have a podcast episode that I did a year ago with my partner Kathleen Killam and my partner Jay Sam. He has a podcast, the Jarvis Sam Show, on iTunes, everywhere. Go to his website, jarvissam.com, and you could see all this podcast. But I have an episode that I did with them that I'm probably going to end up releasing on this on my podcast. I'm going to put it out as a bonus episode one day. But we talked about black people and mental health. And one of the things we touched on was how our mental health is affected when you're working for white people. For white people, you have to put on a mask every day and be somebody that you're not just so you can maintain a job. But I'll put that episode out later. But yeah, man, me working there. And then also at that job, man, I remember, like I told you, we were separated into different crews, right? 4 people to a crew. I remember that the only black man who was a driver and a supervisor of the crew, I remember he did something. I forget exactly what he did. And as a way of punishing him, they took his truck and they made him ride with other crews and sit in the back seat. I will never forget that. That had to be humiliating for him. That was, and I said, my God, I can't stay here, man. This is, I'm better than this, man. And eventually I ended up moving on. And one day I'm gonna do a podcast episode on me moving on. I gotta make it make sense. But it's tough, man. I also remember, let me tell another quick story. I also remember, as you know, I told you I'm a special ed teacher, but at one point I was a teacher assistant. And I remember working at this particular school where there was a white principal, and I was the assistant of this white girl who was a special ed teacher. I was the assistant, and she was like 4 years younger than me. And she wanted me to do something that I wasn't supposed to be doing. Like by law, I shouldn't have been doing it. And I kind of fell back. You know, that woman went and told on me to the principal. Now, let me give you a little backstory on that. The principal was this 50-something-year-old man who graduated from the University of Texas. And the girl was a 27-year-old girl who graduated from Texas. So they had this this father-daughter relationship, and of course they white. Then they went to the same school. So when she told on me and made me sound like a villain, oh my God, he called me to his office and he talked crazy to me. Now I'm a grown man at this point. He talked crazy to me. And I tell you what, one thing I lost respect for the girl, because instead of her talking to me about the issue, she just went and told on me. He talked crazy to me. Oh, look, we hired you to do this and that. And then after he finished, he thought he was just going to walk out the office. I said, no, sir. I said, come back in here. Let me talk with you. Let me talk with you. I pretty much told him, hey, man, check this out, man. When y'all hired me, y'all didn't even give me the proper training. By law, I wasn't supposed to be doing that. And, man, watch how you talk to me. Okay. Yeah, see, they switch it up when they switch it up on you. When they see that you're not no dummy and they see that you're not no punching bag. But needless to say, I didn't hang around with that job. And that's another thing with knowing your value. You got to know when to exit. And I'm getting to this. My God, this podcast episode is working out. You got to know when to exit, man. You can't stay around and take that abuse, because that's not good for your development. That's not good for your mental health. And that's just not good for you being a human being, man. You deserve more than that, man. We're talking about black people in these white workplaces. So I talked about how Sheryl Underwood and Sharon Osbourne, that whole situation. Talked about Hulk Hogan, how he got slapped on the wrist. Talked about Mel Gibson, how he got a slap on the wrist. Talked about Mike Vick, how he had to be humiliated and, be superhuman to get another opportunity. I talked about my situation and how when black people speak up for themselves, they get ostracized and labeled crazy and they don't, man, it's a whole thing, man. So check this out, man. I'm talking about me, I'm talking about Christopher Robinson. I try not to work around a whole bunch of white people. It's not good for my mental health. I know it sounds crazy. That's just not where I'm at. Look, as a teacher, when I find jobs, I find the schools where there are black kids. I find the school, like, let me deal with them, because I know that with black kids, it's mainly going to be like black teachers. So I find those places to work, because I'm not the best fit for a whole bunch of white people. And that's not me being racist or whatever. And it's just not, I've tried it before. It's not the best look for me. I have to protect my mental health. So I find ways to protect myself. I don't want to get into it with white people. So I try not to work around too many of them. And then what I do is high and by. I'm good in passing. We don't have to have, too many conversations, man. Let's keep it work related. I am not here to be anybody's friend. And that's a unfortunate way to be, but that's what it is. Now check this out, man. I want to go back to the Sheryl Underwood situation. I think that, and I can't speak on people's pockets or anything. I'm just a guy giving my perspective, man. Giving my view. I think she's in position to where she doesn't have to take that. I'm sure she has a fan base to where she can create her own situation, man. You look at the way technology is, man. She could do a podcast like myself. Do you know the difference between me and her? I don't have the following that she has. I'm sure she could do a show like that. She could rent a set or turn her living room into a set. Get some microphones. I'm sure she can afford it. Get 2 of her friends and just have conversations. Hire somebody to work a camera, do the sound. She could do that herself. Put it on YouTube or put it on Patreon or whatever. I don't know. I'm sure she got a fan base that would love to support her. Now, would it be as big as the talk that she had? Nah, probably not. But would she be the boss? Yeah. Would she have to deal with the racism and the being degraded on national TV? No. But then when you talk about that, some people, and I'm not talking about her, I'm just talking about in general, some people don't have that boss mindset. They don't want to run everything. They just want to come collect a check. I remember listening to Shannon Sharp has a podcast, and he was talking to Master P, and he said something that I've always thought about for years. He said that, man, I used to put out my own movies, just film my movies, put them out. And he said, I look at somebody like Denzel Washington, who was making 20 million a movie at the time or whatever, and Fresh Prince, and Will Smith, who were making $20 million. And he said, why don't they film, if they making $20 million for somebody else, why don't they film their own movie? It makes all the sense in the world to me. Now, why they didn't do it, I don't know. That's not from my call. I love Will Smith, and Denzel is the man. But I have that mindset of Master P. I just gotta get my execution together. But I got that mindset of building my own, and that's where I'm. That's where as we get towards the end of this episode. That's what I want to say, man. We need to create our own financial situations. I talked about Sheryl Underwood. If she had her own show, she wouldn't have to worry about Sharon Osbourne and disrespect. Man, I went to Atlanta, man. I want to say 2 summers ago, I went to Atlanta. Me and the baby mama. And when we got there, the first thing I remember, we were sitting in Lenox Mall eating pizza or something. And it hit me. I said, where's Tyler Perry Studios? We had just got there. I'm talking about we had just gotten off the plane, got the rental car, headed to Lenox Mall. I think we checked in the hotel first, then we headed to Lenox Mall. I said, where's the Tyler Perry Studios? I Googled it on my phone. I called them. I'm like, hey, are y'all open? How's it? They're like, look, you can't come here and tour, but it's a certain place where you could park and you could, come take pictures outside the gate. And I said, oh, bet, I'm on my way there. After we left the mall, we went there. And just the energy that came up off of that studio to see that a black man had built his own situation to where he doesn't have to deal with Hollywood. He built his own situation to where he could film his movies, do whatever he wants, when he wants. That energy, it was just a certain energy that came up off of there. And I tell you what, man, while I was in Atlanta, I think I was in Atlanta 3-4 days, man. I went and visited that place 2 more times, man. Some of the black-owned soul food restaurants, man, we went in there. Just the energy when you're around your own people. And I just think that our situations is, but I'm gonna be honest, man. If we worked for ourselves or at least worked for other black people, I think we'd be better off, man. And that's not being hateful towards anybody else. That's not being racist towards anybody else. But honestly, look at your situation if you're black and you're listening to this, and think about where you work. If you don't work for black people, if you work for other white people, you work for whomever, how is your work experience, man? Are you happy? That's a you question. You think about that, and you don't even have to get back to me. You just sit with that and you reflect on that, man. But I'm gonna end this episode here, man. Good episode. This is the Inspired by Christopher podcast. Again, the Inspired by Christopher podcast. Go to my site, man, and follow my email list at Inspired by Christopher podcast. And check out, I gave a free episode last week, giving this one for free. And I'm going to do like one more for free. Then I'm going to put out a clip every week, man. But if y'all want this amazing content, man, sign up to that Patreon, man. $3 a month. That's all I'm asking for, because I'm creating my own financial situation. Like I was talking about in this, I'm not just talking it, I'm walking it, baby. I'm creating my own financial situation to where I can work for myself. And all I got to do is report to this mic and drop that quality content, man. And that's the road we on. That's the mission. The plan is the plan. And we just going to continue to find ways to get better, man, and grow this thing, man. But y'all know what it is, man. Y'all know what it is, man. I'm Christopher Robinson. I'm signing off. Go U of H. Y'all mucho. Take it easy. H-Town all day.